The docking bay of Kepler 7 mining station echoed with the harsh blare of emergency sirens. Tyler Brooks secured the final cargo container on his small freighter and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Another routine delivery completed. Another day of flying the lonely routes between frontier stations that the big shipping companies ignored. He grabbed his datapad to log the delivery when the sirens suddenly cut off. The automated voice announced it was just a drill. Tyler shook his head. These remote stations ran evacuation drills constantly, but they always managed to cause chaos anyway. As he walked toward the station entrance to grab a hot meal before his next jump, he heard it. A small, frightened sound cutting through the mechanical hum of the docking bay. Crying. A child crying. Tyler stopped and looked around. The bay was mostly empty now. The dock workers had scattered during the drill. He followed the sound between 2 large cargo containers and found her. She was tiny. Maybe 6 years old if Tyler had to guess. But she was not human. Her skin had a soft purple hue that seemed to shimmer under the harsh station lights. Large golden eyes filled with tears looked up at him. She wore a small formal outfit that seemed expensive. Definitely not the child of a dock worker. "Hey there," Tyler said softly, crouching down to her level. "Are you lost?" The child said something in a language he did not understand. The words came out between sobs. Tyler pulled out his universal translator and clipped it to his collar. "Can you say that again?" he asked gently. "I cannot find my mother." The translator converted her words into English. "The alarm scared me and I ran. Now I do not know where she is." Tyler looked around the empty docking bay. Station security would be overwhelmed right now, sorting out the drill confusion. It could be hours before they organized a proper search for lost family members. "My name is Tyler," he said. "I am going to help you find your mother, okay? But first, are you hungry?" The little girl nodded, wiping her eyes with small hands. Tyler led her back to his ship and opened his emergency supply locker. He pulled out a ration bar and broke it in half, offering her a piece. She took it carefully and nibbled on it. "What is your name?" Tyler asked. "Kessa," she said quietly. The ration bar seemed to calm her down a bit. "This tastes strange. But good." "It is human food," Tyler explained. "Probably different from what you eat at home." "Speaking of home, where are you from?" "The Velasquez sector," Kessa said. "My mother is here for important meetings. She told me to stay close, but the alarms were so loud." Tyler activated his communicator and contacted station security. As he expected, the channel was completely jammed with confused chatter. He left a message about the lost child and decided to take her to the family reunification center himself. It would be faster than waiting for security to respond. "Come on, Kessa," he said, offering his hand. "Let's go find your mother." She hesitated for just a moment, then placed her small hand in his. Tyler felt a strange weight of responsibility settle on him. This child trusted him. He would make sure she got home safe. They walked through the station corridors. Tyler kept up a steady stream of conversation to distract Kessa from her fear. He told her about Earth, about the oceans and mountains. He described snow, which fascinated her because her home world was mostly desert. He told her about his cargo routes and the strange things he had seen in his travels. Kessa listened with wide eyes and asked questions. Slowly her fear faded. She even smiled when Tyler described the time his ship's gravity generator malfunctioned and everything floated for 3 hours. The reunification center was packed with confused families. Tyler found a clerk and explained the situation. They took Kessa's information and told Tyler it might be several hours before they could locate her mother. The drill had scattered thousands of people across the massive station. "Several hours?" Tyler repeated. He looked down at Kessa, who grabbed his hand tighter. "I will wait with her." The clerk nodded gratefully and moved on to the next crisis. Tyler found 2 seats in a corner and sat down with Kessa. She stayed close to him, clearly still nervous in the crowded center. So Tyler kept talking. He told her stories about the different alien species he had met. He described the ice caves of Europa and the floating cities of Titan. He made up silly stories about space pirates and treasure hunts that made her giggle. Hours passed. Kessa eventually dozed off, her head resting against Tyler's arm. He checked his schedule on his datapad. He was going to miss his next delivery window. It would cost him credits he could not afford to lose. But he stayed in that uncomfortable plastic chair, letting the tired child sleep. Finally, after nearly 4 hours, a commotion erupted near the entrance. A woman rushed into the center, her purple skin several shades darker than Kessa's. She wore elaborate robes that marked her as someone important. Her golden eyes scanned the crowd desperately. "Kessa," she called out. The little girl woke up instantly. Mother. She jumped from her seat and ran to the woman, who dropped to her knees and swept Kessa into her arms. They held each other tightly, both crying with relief. Tyler stood up slowly, gathering his datapad. His job was done. Time to get back to his ship and try to salvage his schedule. But the woman looked up and saw him. She stood, keeping one hand on Kessa's shoulder, and walked toward him. Up close, Tyler could see the exhaustion and stress on her face. But also dignity. This was someone used to being in control, now shaken by fear for her child. "You are the one who found her?" the woman asked. Her voice was refined, cultured. "Yes, ma'am," Tyler said. "She was in the docking bay. I just made sure she was safe until you could get here." "I am Mirena," she said. "Kessa's mother." "And you are?" "Tyler Brooks. I run cargo along this route." Mirena placed a hand over her heart in what Tyler assumed was a gesture of gratitude. "Thank you, Tyler Brooks. I cannot express what this means to me. When the alarms went off during our tour of the industrial sector, she panicked. I could not find her anywhere. I thought." Her voice caught. "She is safe now," Tyler said. "That is what matters." Kessa tugged on her mother's robe. "He gave me food and told me stories about Earth, Mother. He waited with me the whole time." Mirena looked at Tyler with an expression he could not quite read. Gratitude certainly. But something else. Something measuring. "I am in your debt, Tyler Brooks," she said formally. "Truly in your debt." "No debt, ma'am," Tyler said. Anyone would have done the same. But even as he said it, he knew it was not true. The docking bay had been full of people who had walked right past a frightened child. Mirena seemed to know it too. She gave him one more long look, then nodded. "Safe travels, Tyler Brooks. Perhaps our paths will cross again." Tyler nodded, gave Kessa a small wave and headed back to his ship. He had a schedule to fix and credits to earn. The brief encounter was already fading from his mind as he calculated new route timings. He had no idea that 3 days later, his entire life would change when Mirena and Kessa appeared at his home port with a request that would turn his world upside down. Tyler guided his freighter into the docking clamps of Europa Station and let out a tired breath. 3 days of back-to-back runs had worn him down. All he wanted was a hot shower, real food, and 12 hours of sleep in his small apartment. He powered down the ship's systems and opened the cargo bay doors. The station's automated loaders would handle unloading while he dealt with the paperwork. Tyler grabbed his datapad and walked down the ramp, already thinking about which restaurant to hit first. Tyler Brooks. He looked up and froze. Standing near his ship were two figures he recognized immediately. Mirena, the Velasquez dignitary, stood in her elegant robes. Beside her, holding her hand, was little Kessa. The child's face lit up when she saw him. "Tyler," Kessa called out, waving excitedly. Tyler walked toward them, completely confused. "Mirena? Kessa? What are you doing here?" "We came to find you," Mirena said. Her voice was calm but purposeful. "I hope you do not mind. I accessed the station records at Kepler 7 to track your registry and flight schedule." Tyler blinked. That was not exactly standard procedure. You had to have serious clearance to access that kind of information. It reminded him again that Mirena was not just any person. She had power and connections. "I do not mind," Tyler said slowly. "But you did not need to come all this way. I told you there is no debt." "In my culture there is always a debt," Mirena said firmly. "And this one must be honored properly. Please, will you join us for dinner? I have reserved a private room at the Celestial Garden restaurant. It would mean a great deal to both of us." Kessa bounced on her feet. "Please, Tyler? Mother says they have human food too." Tyler looked at the little girl's eager face and felt his resistance crumble. "All right. Dinner sounds good." Kessa cheered and grabbed his hand. Tyler found himself being pulled along by the enthusiastic child while Mirena followed behind them with a small smile. The Celestial Garden was one of the nicest restaurants on Europa Station. Tyler had walked past it 100 times but never gone inside. Too expensive for a cargo pilot's budget. The host led them to a private room with a view of Jupiter hanging massive and beautiful in the black sky. They settled at the table. Kessa insisted on sitting next to Tyler. She immediately launched into excited chatter about everything she had done since they last met. Tyler listened and asked questions, making her giggle with his reactions. Mirena watched them interact. Tyler noticed her observation but tried not to feel uncomfortable about it. She was probably just happy to see her daughter so animated and joyful. The food arrived. Tyler had ordered a simple steak, while Mirena and Kessa had dishes he did not recognize. Kessa proudly showed him how to eat the glowing purple vegetable on her plate, demonstrating the proper way to use the special utensils. "She has talked about you constantly for 3 days," Mirena said as they ate. "The kind human who told her stories and kept her safe. You made quite an impression." Tyler felt his face warm. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Mirena said quietly but firmly. "Not anyone. I spoke with station security afterward. Many people passed through that docking bay during the drill. You were the only one who stopped to help a frightened child." Tyler did not know what to say to that. He focused on his food. "In Velasquez culture," Mirena continued, "children are considered sacred. They are our future, our hope, our greatest treasure. To protect a child when their parent cannot is considered one of the highest honors." "I did not know that," Tyler admitted. "But I am glad I could help." Mirena leaned forward slightly. "When a child is in crisis, when they are lost or frightened or in danger, and a stranger protects them, we call that person a guardian. It is not a title we use lightly." Kessa nodded seriously. "Tyler is my guardian now. Mother explained it to me." Tyler shifted uncomfortably. "That sounds very formal." "I was just in the right place at the right time." "Perhaps," Mirena said. "But you made a choice. You could have walked away. You could have simply reported her to security and left. Instead you stayed with her for 4 hours. You fed her. You comforted her. You told her stories to take away her fear." "She was scared," Tyler said simply. "I could not just leave her alone like that." Mirena's golden eyes studied him intently. "Why not?" The question caught Tyler off guard. "Because she is a child. Children should not be alone and afraid if someone can help them." "And there it is," Mirena said softly, almost to herself. She sat back in her chair. "That is the quality we value most. Not just the action but the reason behind it." Tyler did not understand what she meant, but he decided not to push it. Kessa started telling him about the gardens on her home world, and he was grateful for the change of subject. The dinner continued with lighter conversation. Mirena asked Tyler about his work, his ship, his life. He found himself talking more than he usually did. There was something about her attention that drew out his stories. She listened carefully to everything he said, asking thoughtful questions. Tyler learned that Mirena was a diplomat. She traveled the galaxy negotiating treaties and trade agreements between the Velasquez worlds and other species. It was demanding work that kept her away from home for months at a time. She usually traveled with Kessa rather than leave her behind. "It is not always easy," Mirena admitted, "balancing my duties with being a mother. Especially since Kessa's father passed away 2 years ago." "I am sorry," Tyler said quietly. Mirena nodded. "He was a good man. A soldier who died protecting our colonies from raiders. Kessa was only 4 when it happened." Kessa leaned against Tyler's arm. "I do not remember him very much. Mother says I have his eyes." Tyler felt a pang of sympathy for both of them. He understood loss. His own parents had died when he was young, killed in a transport accident. He had grown up in foster care, always feeling a bit alone in the universe. As the evening wore on, Tyler found himself genuinely enjoying their company. Kessa was bright and curious. Mirena was intelligent and surprisingly funny once she relaxed a bit. The formal dignity she wore like armor slowly melted away as they talked. But Tyler also noticed that Mirena kept watching him. Not just his words but his mannerisms. How he treated the serving staff. How he responded when Kessa accidentally spilled her drink. How he handled himself in conversation. It felt like he was being evaluated for something, though he had no idea what. Finally, as the dinner ended, Mirena stood. "Thank you for accepting our invitation, Tyler Brooks. This has been a wonderful evening." "Thank you for dinner," Tyler said. "That was probably the best meal I have had in months." Kessa hugged him. "Will we see you again?" Tyler looked at Mirena, unsure how to answer. She smiled slightly. "Perhaps. I will be staying on Europa Station for the next week. I have meetings with the Colonial Administration. If you have time, we would enjoy seeing you again." Something in her tone made Tyler's instincts tingle. There was more to this than just gratitude. But he could not figure out what. "Sure," he said. "I would like that." As they parted ways, Tyler walked back to his apartment with his mind spinning. The dinner had been pleasant, but something felt off. Or not off exactly. Just significant in a way he did not understand yet. He had no idea that in Velasquez culture he had just passed the first test. And that Mirena had already made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Tyler met with Mirena and Kessa 3 more times over the next week. Coffee at a station cafe. A walk through the observation gardens where Kessa could run and play. Another dinner, less formal this time. Each meeting felt natural and comfortable. Tyler found himself looking forward to seeing them. But he also noticed something strange. Other Velasquez who passed them in the corridors would stop and stare. Some would bow slightly to Mirena, then look at Tyler with what seemed like respect. Or maybe curiosity. He could not quite tell. On the 8th day, Mirena sent him a message asking if he could come to her suite. She said she needed to speak with him privately about something important. Tyler felt his stomach tighten with worry. Had he done something wrong? Offended their culture somehow without knowing it? He arrived at her suite in the diplomatic quarter of the station. The door opened before he could knock. Mirena stood there in formal robes, more elaborate than any he had seen her wear before. Her expression was serious. "Thank you for coming, Tyler," she said. "Please sit down." The suite was beautiful. Wide windows showed the stars beyond. Expensive furniture filled the space. Kessa was not there, which surprised Tyler. She had been present at all their other meetings. "Where is Kessa?" Tyler asked as he sat on the couch. "With her tutor," Mirena said. She sat across from him, her posture straight and formal. "What I need to discuss with you is best done privately first." Tyler's worry increased. "Is something wrong?" "Not wrong," Mirena said carefully. "But complicated." She took a breath. "Tyler, I need to explain something about my culture. About what happened when you protected Kessa at Kepler 7. "Okay," Tyler said slowly. Mirena folded her hands in her lap. "In Velasquez society, we have an ancient tradition called the Guardian's Bond. It dates back thousands of years to when our world was dangerous and families were often separated by wars or disasters. When a child was lost or in danger, and a stranger protected them until they could be reunited with their parent, that stranger was honored with the highest respect." Tyler nodded. "You mentioned something about that at dinner? The Guardian title." "Yes," Mirena said. "But there is more to it than I told you then. The Guardian's Bond is not just an honor. It is a sacred connection. In our ancient times, a male who protected a child while the mother could not was seen as demonstrating the most important qualities we value: courage, compassion, selflessness, the willingness to put a child's safety above his own convenience." "I just did what felt right," Tyler said, still not understanding where this was going. Mirena met his eyes. "Those qualities make someone an ideal mate, an ideal father. In Velasquez tradition, when a widow's child is protected by an unmarried male who demonstrates these qualities, it creates a bond. A connection that our society recognizes as the foundation for a strong partnership." Tyler felt the blood drain from his face. "Wait, what are you saying?" "I am saying that by protecting Kessa, you triggered the Guardian's Bond," Mirena said quietly. "And according to my culture, that makes you the most suitable candidate to become my husband and Kessa's father." Tyler stood up quickly. "Hold on. I never agreed to anything like that. I just helped a lost kid." "I know," Mirena said, remaining calm. "You did not know about our traditions. That is why I am explaining them now. But you cannot seriously expect me to marry you because of some ancient tradition," Tyler said, his voice rising slightly. "We barely know each other." "I am not asking you because of tradition alone," Mirena said. She stood as well, facing him. "I am asking you because I have spent this week observing you, watching how you treat others, how you speak to service workers with respect, how you listen when Kessa talks about things that most adults would find boring, how you are kind without expecting anything in return." Tyler shook his head. "That is just being a decent person." "Exactly," Mirena said. "You are a decent person. A good person. That is rare, Tyler. Especially among those who would seek to marry a diplomat for status or wealth." "I am not seeking to marry anyone," Tyler protested. Mirena's expression shifted. For the first time, Tyler saw vulnerability in her eyes. "I am a widow with a young daughter. In Velasquez society, my position is precarious. I am expected to remarry to provide stability for my family line. But as a diplomat with power and influence, I have many suitors who only want my status, who see Kessa as an inconvenience rather than a treasure." Tyler felt his anger deflate slightly. "I'm sorry. That sounds difficult." "It is," Mirena admitted. "And then you appeared. A man who protected my daughter without knowing who we were, who asked for nothing in return, who treats her with genuine kindness. The Guardian's Bond exists for a reason, Tyler. It helps us identify those who would be good partners and good parents." Tyler ran a hand through his hair. "Mirena, I understand that this is important to your culture. But I cannot just agree to marry someone I barely know. That is not how humans do things. We date. We spend time together. We fall in love first. I understand that, Mirena said. And I am not asking you to love me. Not yet. I'm asking you to consider a partnership. A formal bond that would give both of us something we need. What do I need? Tyler asked, genuinely confused. Security, Mirena said simply. You are a cargo pilot flying dangerous routes alone. You live job to job. One major ship repair or medical emergency would bankrupt you. As my bonded partner, you would have the support and resources of my family. You could continue your work if you wished or pursue something else. So you want to buy me, Tyler said flatly. Mirena's eyes flashed. I want to offer you a partnership of mutual benefit. And I want to be honest with you about what is at stake for me if you refuse. What do you mean? Mirena walked to the window and looked out at the stars. I told you my position is precarious. What I did not tell you is that there are others in my government who oppose my diplomatic work. They believe I am too soft on human colonies, too willing to compromise. They cannot remove me through political means because I have support from our people. But they can attack me through social means. She turned back to Tyler. In our culture, a widow who does not remarry within a reasonable time is seen as failing her duty to her family. My rivals whisper that I am too broken by grief to function properly. That I am not fit to represent our people. They point to my unmated status as proof that I am damaged. Tyler felt a twist of sympathy. That is horrible. It is reality, Mirena said. And now, with the Guardian's bond triggered, my situation is even more complicated. If I turn away the Guardian, if I reject the bond that our tradition recognizes, it will be seen as shameful. My rivals will use it against me. They will say I am so arrogant that I reject even the sacred traditions of our people. So you need me to make you look good politically, Tyler said. I need you to help me maintain my position so I can continue my work, Mirena corrected. Work that matters. I negotiate peace treaties, Tyler. Trade agreements that prevent conflicts. I save lives through diplomacy. Tyler sat back down, his head spinning. This is insane. I know it must seem that way to you, Mirena said softly. She sat beside him, keeping a respectful distance. I'm sorry. I wish I could give you more time to know me. To let feelings develop naturally. But I do not have that luxury. In 2 weeks, I must return home for a major diplomatic summit. I will be asked directly about the Guardian's bond. If I cannot say that it has been honored, my enemies will use it to destroy my credibility. Tyler looked at her. Really looked at her. He saw the strength there but also the exhaustion. The weight of responsibility she carried. She was not trying to trap him. She was drowning and asking for help. I do not know what to say, Tyler admitted. Say you will think about it, Mirena said. Please. That is all I ask right now. Tyler stood slowly. His mind was a mess of confusion and sympathy and frustration. I need to go. I need to think. Mirena nodded. I understand. But Tyler, whatever you decide, decide soon. Time is not on our side. Tyler left the suite and walked through the station in a daze. His simple life as a cargo pilot had just become impossibly complicated. And he had absolutely no idea what to do about it. Tyler spent 2 days locked in his apartment, barely sleeping. His mind would not stop racing. He kept thinking about Mirena's words, about Kessa's bright smile, about the impossible choice he faced. On the 3rd morning he made a decision. If he was going to refuse or accept, he needed to understand what he was actually dealing with. He could not make this choice based on ignorance. Tyler went to the station's public library and accessed the xenoanthropology database. He spent hours reading everything he could find about Velasquez culture. The history of the Guardian's bond. The social structure of their society. The role of widows and remarriage. The political dynamics that Mirena faced. What he found surprised him. The Guardian's bond was not some primitive superstition. It was a sophisticated social mechanism that had evolved over thousands of years. The Velasquez had learned that the best predictor of how someone would treat a family was how they treated vulnerable strangers when no one was watching. The bond identified those with genuine compassion rather than those who simply performed kindness for social benefit. He also learned that rejecting the bond was not just personally shameful for Mirena. It would be seen as evidence that she lacked judgment. That she had somehow misread the situation or chosen poorly. Her political rivals would use it to question every decision she made. Every treaty she negotiated. Every alliance she formed. Tyler sat back in his chair and rubbed his eyes. The weight of responsibility felt crushing. But he also realized something important. Mirena had not lied to him. She had been completely honest about what she needed and why. That counted for something. He dug deeper into the research. He found records of guardians' bonds throughout history. Most of them became successful marriages. But not all started with love. Many began as practical arrangements that grew into genuine partnerships over time. The Velasquez seemed to understand that love could be built on foundation of respect and shared values. Then Tyler found something that changed his thinking entirely. He discovered that the guardian's bond had different forms. The traditional form was immediate marriage. But there was also an ancient provision for a trial period. A time when both parties could live as partners but maintain some independence while deciding if the bond should become permanent. It was called the path of understanding. And it had been used throughout Velasquez history when circumstances were unusual or complicated. Tyler felt hope spark in his chest for the first time in days. This might be the answer. A compromise that honored the tradition while giving them both time to figure out if this could actually work. He contacted Mirena and asked to meet her again. This time he chose a quiet park on the station where they could talk without being overheard. Mirena arrived alone again. She looked tired, and Tyler realized she probably had not been sleeping well either. The stress of waiting for his answer must have been eating at her. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," Tyler said as they sat on a bench overlooking an artificial lake. "Of course," Mirena said quietly. "Have you made your decision?" "I have been researching your culture," Tyler said. "Reading everything I could find about the Guardian's bond and Velasquez traditions." Mirena looked surprised. "You did research?" "I needed to understand what I was actually saying yes or no to," Tyler explained. "I could not make this choice based on feelings alone. It affects too many things. Your career. Kessa's future. Both our lives." "That is very thoughtful," Mirena said softly. Tyler took a breath. "I found something called the path of understanding. Do you know what that is?" Mirena's eyes widened. "You found that?" "Yes, I know it. It is an old provision. Very rarely used in modern times. But it is still valid?" Tyler asked. "Yes," Mirena said. "It is still part of our traditions. The path of understanding allows a guardian's bond to be honored through a trial period rather than immediate permanent marriage. Both parties live as partners but maintain some independence while they learn if they are truly compatible." "How long is the trial period?" Tyler asked. 6 months traditionally," Mirena said. "Though it can be extended if both parties agree." Tyler nodded. "That is what I want to propose. I cannot marry you tomorrow, Mirena. I barely know you. But I also do not want to reject you and destroy everything you have worked for. The path of understanding seems like a middle ground." Mirena stared at him. "You would agree to that? To a trial bond?" "Yes," Tyler said. "With some conditions. We need to be honest with each other about expectations. I need to know exactly what this partnership would look like day to day. And we both need to agree that if it does not work, if we truly cannot build something real together, we can walk away without blame. The tradition allows for that," Mirena said. "If both parties agree at the end of the trial that the bond should not continue, it can be dissolved with honor. Neither party faces shame because they gave the bond a genuine chance." "Then that is my answer," Tyler said. "I will accept the guardian's bond through the path of understanding. 6 months. We figure out if we can build a real partnership. No guarantees, no pressure. Just honest effort from both of us." Mirena closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, Tyler saw relief so profound it was almost painful to witness. "You have no idea what this means to me," she whispered. "I think I do," Tyler said gently. "I read about what you would face if I refused. I understand the stakes." "Why?" Mirena asked suddenly. "Why are you doing this? You could walk away. You owe me nothing." Tyler thought about that question. "Because Kessa deserves better than having her mother torn down by political games. Because you are trying to do good work in the galaxy and you should not be punished for being a widow. And because maybe, just maybe, this could actually work. I do not know if I can fall in love with you, Mirena. But I like you. I respect you. And I think those are decent foundations to build on." Mirena reached out and took his hand. It was the first time she had touched him beyond a formal greeting. "I am not in love with you either, Tyler. I want you to know that. I respect you deeply. I admire your character. But I am not asking you to be my great romance. I am asking you to be my partner. Someone I can trust. Someone who will treat my daughter with kindness. Someone who will stand beside me without trying to control me." "I can do that," Tyler said. "Or at least I can try." "That is all I ask," Mirena said. "An honest try." They sat in silence for a moment, both processing what they had just agreed to. Finally Tyler spoke again. "So how does this work? What do we do next?" Mirena smiled slightly. We formalized the trial bond. There will be a small ceremony. Just documentation really. We will register our partnership with my government. Then we live our lives as partners for 6 months. We can maintain separate residences if you prefer, though we should spend significant time together. The goal is to see if we can build something real. What about Kessa? Tyler asked. How do we explain this to her? With honesty, Mirena said. She is young but she is not stupid. We tell her that we are trying to see if our family can grow to include you. That we need time to figure it out. She will understand. Tyler nodded slowly. Okay. Then let us do this. Let us try. Mirena squeezed his hand. Thank you, Tyler Brooks. For being willing to understand rather than simply refusing. For taking the time to learn about my culture before making your choice. That means more than you know. I just hope I do not mess this up, Tyler admitted. We will figure it out together, Mirena said. That is what partnerships are for. As they walked back through the station together, Tyler felt the weight of uncertainty still pressing on him. But alongside it was something else. Oh, maybe this strange arrangement could actually work. Maybe they could build something real from this unusual beginning. He had 6 months to find out. 6 months to see if duty could transform into something more. 6 months to discover if a guardian's bond could become true love. The journey was just beginning. The first month of the trial bond was awkward. Tyler and Mirena were like two strangers trying to dance without stepping on each other's feet. They had dinner 3 times a week. They attended cultural events together. They smiled politely and made careful conversation. But it felt artificial. Forced. Kessa was the one who broke through the tension. She did not care about formal partnerships or political necessity. She just knew that Tyler was around more often and she loved it. She dragged him to play games. She insisted he read her bedtime stories. She asked him endless questions about Earth and humans and his cargo ship. Through Kessa, Tyler and Mirena began to relax around each other. It was hard to maintain awkward formality when a 6-year-old was trying to teach you both how to play a Velasquez children's game that made absolutely no sense. By the second month, something shifted. Tyler found himself actually looking forward to their dinners. Mirena had a dry sense of humor that caught him off guard and made him laugh. She was brilliant at strategy games, beating him every time they played. And she listened when he talked about his struggles with the cargo business, offering genuinely helpful advice. Mirena seemed to soften too. She stopped treating their time together like a diplomatic meeting. She told him stories about her childhood, about her late husband, about the pressures of her work. She admitted fears and doubts she probably never shared with anyone else. Tyler moved some of his things into her suite in the 3rd month. Not everything. He kept his apartment. But he started staying over more nights than not. It just made sense with their schedule. And Kessa loved having him there for breakfast. He learned Mirena's morning routine. How she drank her tea. How she liked absolute silence while she read the news. How she hummed old Velasquez songs while she worked. Small details that felt intimate and important. She learned his habits too. How he needed at least 2 cups of coffee before he could have a real conversation. How he paced when he was thinking through a problem. How he always checked on Kessa before he went to bed, even when she was already asleep. In the 4th month, Tyler taught Mirena how to pilot his cargo ship. She was terrible at first, but she laughed at her mistakes instead of getting frustrated. They spent an afternoon in the simulator, with Kessa cheering from the co-pilot seat every time Mirena managed to dock without crashing. Mirena took Tyler to a formal Velasquez cultural ceremony. She taught him the proper greetings and gestures. When he made mistakes, other Velasquez smiled kindly rather than judging. Afterward, several of them told Mirena that they approved of her choice of partner. Tyler felt a strange warmth at that. By the 5th month, Tyler realized something had changed. He was not just going through the motions anymore. He genuinely cared about Mirena. He worried when her diplomatic work stressed her out. He felt proud when she successfully negotiated a difficult treaty. He found himself thinking about her when they were apart. But he did not say anything. The trial period was almost over. Soon they would need to decide if the bond would become permanent or dissolve. Tyler was afraid that if he spoke his feelings too soon, Mirena might think he was just trying to secure the arrangement rather than expressing genuine emotion. Then everything changed in the 6th month. Mirena's political enemies made their move. A rival diplomat named Corvin released a public statement questioning Mirena's judgment. He claimed that she had entered the Guardian's bond not out of tradition but out of desperation. He suggested that Tyler was not a true Guardian but rather an opportunist who had manipulated a vulnerable widow for personal gain. The accusations spread through Velasquez communication networks rapidly. News services picked up the story. Suddenly, Mirena's entire career was under attack. Tyler watched Mirena read the statements in her suite. Her hands shook slightly as she held the datapad. Kessa sat nearby, sensing the tension but not understanding it. "They are calling you a fraud," Mirena whispered. "They are saying you only helped Kessa to get to me. That you planned this from the beginning." Tyler felt anger burn in his chest. "That is absolutely not true." "I know that," Mirena said. "But the truth does not matter if enough people believe the lies." "Then we make them see the truth," Tyler said firmly. "How?" Mirena asked. "I cannot defend you without looking defensive. Corvin knows that. He is counting on my silence." Tyler stood up. "But I can defend myself. And I can defend you." "Tyler, no," Mirena said quickly. "You do not understand Velasquez politics. If you respond emotionally, it will only make things worse." "I am not going to respond emotionally," Tyler said. "I am going to respond with facts." He spent the next 6 hours crafting a public statement. He included the station logs from Kepler-7 showing exactly when he found Kessa and how long he stayed with her. He included testimony from the Reunification Center staff about his behavior. He provided his financial records showing he had not gained any money from the bond. He even included character references from other cargo pilots and station workers who had known him for years. But more than facts, Tyler spoke from his heart. He wrote about finding a scared child and doing what any decent person should do. He wrote about learning Velasquez culture because he wanted to understand Mirena and Kessa. He wrote about the trial bond and how it had given them time to build something real. He wrote about Kessa's laughter and Mirena's strength and how his life was better with them in it. At the end, he made a statement that he knew would change everything. "I entered the Guardian's bond through the path of understanding to honor tradition and to give Mirena the political protection she needed. But I am not staying in this bond out of duty. I am staying because I have fallen in love with Mirena. Because Kessa has become like a daughter to me. Because this family is real to me now. Not because of ancient traditions or political necessity. But because I choose it. I choose them. And I will stand by that choice no matter what her enemies say." He published the statement on every major communication network before Mirena could stop him. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Humans praised Tyler's honesty. Velasquez, who believed in the Guardian's bond tradition, rallied to their defense. Even some of Corvin's allies began to question his accusations. How could this be a manipulation when Tyler had voluntarily made himself vulnerable by declaring his love publicly? Corvin tried to continue his attacks, but they had lost their power. The narrative had shifted. Now it was not about political maneuvering. It was about a genuine love story that crossed species and cultures. Mirena read Tyler's statement 3 times. Then she looked up at him with tears in her eyes. "You love me?" she whispered. Tyler knelt in front of her chair. "Yes. I did not plan to. I did not expect to. But somewhere between teaching you to fly and watching you read bedtime stories to Kessa and listening to you talk about peace treaties like they are the most important things in the universe, I fell in love with you." "I love you too," Mirena said, and her voice broke. "I have for weeks now. I was terrified to tell you because the trial period was almost over and I did not want you to feel pressured." They both started laughing through their tears at the absurdity of it. Two people in love, too afraid to admit it because they were trying so hard to avoid pressure. Kessa ran over and hugged them both. "Does this mean Tyler stays forever?" Tyler looked at Mirena. "If your mother will have me. Not as a trial partner. As a real husband. Because I choose this. I choose both of you." Mirena kissed him for the first time. It was gentle and sweet and felt like coming home. "Yes," she whispered against his lips. "Yes, I will have you. I choose you too." 2 weeks later, they held the formal bonding ceremony. It was not large or elaborate. Just close friends and family. Kessa stood between them, holding both their hands, beaming with joy. The officiant spoke the ancient words about the Guardian's bond. About protection and partnership in choosing family. But Tyler barely heard them. He was too focused on Mirena's face. On the love he saw there. On the future they were building together. When it was done, they were officially bonded. Husband and wife. Father and daughter. Family. Tyler had started this journey out of compassion for a lost child. He had agreed to the trial bond out of respect for Mirena's situation. But he was ending it because of love. Real, genuine, freely chosen love. The Guardian's bond had been right all along. It had identified someone with the qualities that mattered most. And it had given them time to discover that duty could transform into devotion. That obligation could become affection. That an arranged partnership could become a love story. As they walked out of the ceremony together, with Kessa between them, Tyler knew he had found something he never expected. A home. A family. A future worth fighting for. And it had all started with a scared little girl in a docking bay, and a man who simply could not walk away.